following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning, I'm Nico and Haan, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
And good morning, I'm Paige Clarke, and this is where we explore our natural health, our rights, and our freedoms.
Improve.
Yeah, improve
Yes,
them.
we definitely do. And the number here is 877-927-6648 if you'd like to join the conversation. And Paige, did you see the eclipse?
I sure did. You know, of course, here in Florida, we had a partial eclipse, 81%.
About 70 to 80, depending where you were in Florida, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoyed being outside and just feeling the difference of the intensity of the sun.
Yeah.
And, without, didn't get any glasses. You know what scared me about all those glasses that everyone was buying is how do we know these weren't really appropriate to block? So
Well, I guess we'll find out in the next week when people go blind or not.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, that's gonna, well, I'm not normally concerned about looking at the sun if it's the right time of day.
Yeah.
Sun gazing in the morning and so forth.
Just when that shadow comes over it, when it's blocked out partially, then those UV rays are definitely more intense. And I think with the grand solar minimum that we've talked about for weeks, is that the rays are intensive anyway. We know that right now in Florida, they've been hovering around 11. Which is really super high.
You're talking about like that, like on my D minder, the UV ray index?
Yeah, the UV
gets
ray
as high
index.
as 13.
Yes.
I've
even seen it
on my D minder, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty high. And for you to understand what's going on during grand solar minimums, the energy that we get from the sun that normally energizes our atmosphere is much lower, so the atmosphere shrinks, and the UV rays get in, and the UV rays can come from the sun, it can come from space, from other galaxies, and these are the harmful ones. And if you're farther north, you have much less atmosphere. Around the equator, you have the most atmosphere. So the thing is not being buffered like it usually is, where we have a nice expanse.
So at the equator, you have more.
You have more protection at the equator.
Because it's kind of bulk.
Well, the rays come in the sun, and that's why we have those ultraviolet, the nice curtains of the borealis.
Borealis, right.
Or
correct.
the Australia.
I'd love to see those.
They're pretty neat. And
have you ever seen them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Well, I lived up in northern Canada above the Great Lakes. Yeah, saw them all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's like a normal occurrence there.
Well, normal it is, but it's still fantastic to see because it's unlike anything else. It's kind of like seeing the eclipse. If you haven't seen that, it's definitely a cool thing to see. But I always wonder what our ancestors thought of these things, and naturally we now know that if you look directly into the sun while this eclipse is going on, it's not completely blacked out. That's when you can injure your eyes.
And that's the whole key point. You don't have the shielding like you have in the early morning sun when you're doing sun gazing. Kind of on the other side, we've been studying a lot of what Dr. Jack Kruse is doing, and a lot of other people that are talking about our light frequency and how these are the light frequencies that really actually damage us. The blue light frequencies, the computer, the Wi-Fi, and so it really is interesting because there are a lot of people that were just saying, why is everyone freaking out about their eyes? The static looking at it for a period of time couldn't be good.
It can take just a few seconds. It can happen very quickly if you're looking at that sun while it's partially blocked. It can, and what it does, it kind of uses that dark image into the retina. So what you'll be seeing is the eclipse forever, pretty much.
Right.
So.
It's not worth the risk, I don't think.
Yeah, so
no one really
our
knows.
ancient ancestors probably at one point had to know this from past mistakes, and probably a lot of the myths surrounding eclipses, not to look at them, and that has to do with that kind of damage. All of a sudden you see the eclipse, and afterwards you're not the same person anymore because your eyesight is messed up in some way.
Yeah.
So that would be traumatic, and there's no way to reverse it. So for the rest of your life, everybody in the tribe would know that happened to you.
Right.
So then you would not look at that eclipse. You'd probably go hide in a cave or in a teepee or something, and that makes sense to me. So, but it was thrilling. I think, we have another one in 4 years across the United States, so that's kind of cool. Doesn't happen too often. And people who saw the total eclipse, I know that probably a great feeling. I've never been through that myself, where a total...
No, I don't think I have either. I think that it was dark, but it wasn't... I talked to a couple people that were in that area, and it wasn't completely dark outside, but...
It depends where you were. I think I saw a few images from Oregon where it was really, really dark. But, of course, I think, in different places it affects you differently. Here, we just saw kind of just... I noticed much more shimmering going on while that was going on. And mine was kind of through the trees, so I took a quick peek at it, and I goes, oh, it's on. But I really didn't see that much of it except that.
I read a really good article. I don't think we really have time to go into it, but it's called "What Astrologers Know About Eclipses That You Don't."
Oh, cool!
And it was a really, really.
There was a couple of highlights.
Yeah, there were a couple of really good highlights about really the symbolism, because astrology is, a lot of people think it's like your horoscope or something, but it's been a science that was revered by leaders of the world forever.
Watching those things go across the sky, I mean...
Well, even biblically, if you want to be concerned about it, it talks about let these things be for signs. Let these things be for signs in the book of Genesis. But it's a great article. Let's see. I'm trying to think if some of you guys want to look it up. It's in Medium called "What Astrologers Know About Eclipses That You Don't." They even tied it into the political atmosphere, which is... all the great kings of history had astrologers.
And a lot of our presidents did, too. I mean, Reagan was
Reagan was a big astrologer, and really, as I think I've shared on the show, many of the great Greek doctors that were the founders of medicine in this country, it was like a doctor who has no knowledge of astrology doesn't deserve the title of doctor.
Well, it's nice to know both worlds. Well,
I think, this article is really cool as in explaining perhaps that the shadow is kind of how we've been so divided between light and dark, right and wrong, left and right. But it really tied in the concept that this is really because it's covering America, it's showing a very divided time. And
because it crisscrossed, it's kind of split the country in half on an angle, in a sense.
No, it's a very cool
article.
So
there is some symbolism there, in a sense. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, too.
Check it out.
Yeah, I want to remind people, first of all, folks, that right now we're having a great sale on the Primal Edge, end of summer sale.
End of summer sale, guys. Time to get built up before the flu season comes. Get your mineralization up. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and $25 off your first bottle when you subscribe.
Or buy an extra one to share.
Exactly, and that's really important because we're coming into the fall soon. Change of season. Change of season means things happen differently. Good time to start a program like this.
Absolutely.
The other thing I want to mention, of course, we have a brand new Health Signals newsletter. I've got a really nice smoothie in here, which is carrot, ginger, and turmeric. And this is an anti-inflammatory type of drink that you can make. Very easy to make. Highly recommend that you do that. And I also have
great
4
primal
simple
exercises,
steps.
exactly.
Yeah, and primal exercises are really using your own body weight. So you don't need any equipment.
No gym, no equipment. Just be out in nature where we need to be.
Yeah, where possible, that's for sure. So stick around, folks. We've got a great show coming up. Paige and I will be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
To talk about this article called Why Intense Workouts Are Leading to a Life-Threatening Condition. This condition is known as
rhabdomyolysis.
Thank you very much. And specifically, that is a condition that puts things in your body that really shouldn't be there, and it's really a breakdown of the muscle. In fact, that Latin phrase means breakdown of muscles. When muscles break down, it reaches myoglobin, and that's a protein that can poison the kidneys into the bloodstream. Condition is caused by any type of trauma to the muscle. There are also toxins in some medication and illicit drugs that can cause it. The first descriptions of this condition were among people who were trapped under bomb buildings during World War II, kind of like the shock syndrome type of.
Well, it was kind of interesting when I saw the article, because that is also a condition that's running rampant in people who are on statin drugs.
No doubt about that.
And, you know, the article did not state whether or not those people were, in fact, on statin drugs and then going into an intensive exercise.
Right.
I can definitely tell you, if you know anyone that's on statin drugs, they run a high risk of this just because of the drug, and then if they get into intensive exercise. So my concern is, being that this article was in CNN, is, you know, kind of cover up the medical problems. I feel like, you know, anybody needs to be concerned, especially, you know, whether or not they're writing this because they want to pawn this side effect off onto exercise when in fact it's a drug side effect.
Well, it's both, I think, because I think if you haven't exercised in years and all of a sudden you go to one of these intense spinning classes or go to CrossFit, these are intense workouts, and if you've never done it, we know as athletes that we have to ease into things.
And I think that's a really good point, Nico. Intensity is important. We know that high-intensity interval training, but it doesn't mean out of your scope of skill level or
what you're used to.
Conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in bed for 10 days and then go out and do something stupid like that, then you're going to be in real trouble.
You're really running into it.
You know, I often say that your body takes a year to condition itself to a certain regime, so you have to start off real slow, and this is from a health concern, mostly. And I always look at exercise as a health concern because I see too many people overdoing it. I know when I have some of the new guys coming into jiu-jitsu and doing our fundamental class, they're dying just from doing the techniques. Then if you start doing some of the fighting itself, what we call sparring, then that may be too much for a lot of people, maybe not the 20-year-olds, but if you got somebody in their 60s starting this is going to be way too much for them. So I recommend those people just to sit out of the sparring and just do the techniques, because the techniques for the first 6 months can be enough for somebody, and meanwhile you're learning. The other thing is, I see people going out running, things like that. I think maybe walking would be the first thing I would do, maybe for 3 months before I would attempt to do a even short run. I know if you have never run before and you start going off to a mile run, you're going to be really sore the next few days.
I think this is a lesson in pacing yourself.
Yeah.
But I do want to. Isn't that funny though about that? I mean,
well, I remember when I met my wife, she was already on statins because that's what the doctor had said, and I slowly had started talking to her about that.
How long was she on them?
She was on them for about 5 years, and one of the things she noticed is that she says my muscles are sore. And this is not from exercise. This was strictly from the statins. And then when I started on this program and started really diving into the research, I said, honey, you got to get off these statins. And when she did, all their symptoms went away.
Well, you know, so, Dr. Steven Sinatra, who's a world-renowned cardiologist.
Yeah, and he's the one I followed when I first started.
Yeah, well, Dr. Steven Sinatra, the minute he sees a woman, he takes her off of a statin, regardless.
And I think
statins are never good for women.
And I think for men it's the same thing too.
Well, actually, what the research is saying is that for men who've never had a heart attack, there's no reason. There is some evidence, and it's purely inflammational. I mean, the point is there's other things that lower inflammation that don't cause all the other myriad side effects. But I'm glad that Ellen got off of those.
Well, yeah,
I hope she didn't sustain any long-term damage. A lot of people do.
I don't think so.
A lot of people will have a hard time if they've been on them. Like if they're down on the ground, they have a hard time getting off the ground.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have that muscle strength to get from, like, say, a cross leg. You know, if they're down working on something on the floor, it's very difficult for them to get up.
I know. I had a friend of mine ask me because he's had an accident a few years back, and he's about 70 years old. Had an accident a few years back on his bike, and really smashed his ankle. So the rehab was not great.
Right.
And also he has trouble walking, and it's really pronounced a gait now. And he's starting to exercise more because he's really gained a lot of weight because he doesn't watch his diet too much. And he says, well, what's the best exercise I can do? So really getting up and down off the ground.
Well, that's an indicator of longevity too. What that tells me is that a statin drug, like almost all drugs, are mitochondrial poisons. They kill the mitochondria, and the mitochondria are energy organelles in our body that produce the ATP, which is our energy currency.
Right.
So that's for no other reason, just they're mitochondrial poisons.
Right.
And you're exactly right. That is a test of how well you can get from a sitting position, and along with
on the ground. I'm not talking a chair.
No.
Right.
No, I'm talking
exactly.
Sitting from the floor.
And remember, this is what half the world does now. It used to be 3/4 of the world, and then it used to be the whole world. But somewhere along the line in the 1600s, one of those kings said, I want to be higher than everybody else. And then it was the cool thing to do, and all of a sudden chairs were kind of born. And that's kind of the story of the chair. And the chair and the toilet right now in Western society is one of those things that keep us sick.
Exactly.
It really does. So it hinders us. So the best exercise for anybody ever to do is to squat down on the ground, learn some of the types of things that we do in jiu-jitsu. Technical stand-up is a good thing. But there are a lot of ways to get up off the ground very easily, but it does take strength, and it takes flexibility, and it takes coordination and balance. All the three things we want out of the four things we want out of exercise.
That's really the end result, right?
Well,
flexibility, balance, and strength.
Well, it's I see the old Indian, where they're left behind. It's because they couldn't stand up and walk anymore, because the Indians naturally migrated. They moved every so often because it was just much healthier. We can't move these days as much, but what we do is we move from one toxic building to the next toxic building, where they had an ingenious, the teepee was such a great invention that it was easy to move. You've been here for a while. We know that human beings pollute the area, so now we go to a different area, not so much anymore. So that's really a tragedy, I think.
Yeah, and, maybe that we're so stuck in where we are. Maybe we need to be more nomadic.
Yeah, I think
be healthier.
That would be nice. I mean, there's nothing better than being outdoors. There's nothing better to being out in the air and into the sun and into the wind and having Mother Nature give us all its blessings through the wind and the sun and the rain and all the good things that used to be. Not so much anymore. So,
you know, when we get back, where are we going to go? I know that we got a break coming up. How about this climate madness and keeping the warm as the world cools?
Yeah, let's take a break, and we'll come up with a little subject here.
Yeah, I think that you know, Nico and I have been talking about. There's no doubt that we are having climate change, and so not as to excite a left-right war or a right-wrong war. There is climate change, but what's going on is we're cooling, we're not warming. It's not what you've been told.
Okay, remember you will receive $25 off your first month to get kick-started in the right direction. So do that right now with the Primal Edge.
That's right, we'll be right back.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. So let's talk talk a little bit about what's going on, climate change, for sure, but what's actually happening.
Of course, we had that new film out, the Inconvenient Truth sequel.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. It's more of the same stuff, pretty much, saying that the temperature is rising everywhere in the world. The sea ocean is getting warmer. There's less ice in the North and South Poles. Pretty much the same thing. When I dig deeper, I run across articles like this. This is 1971 sea ice is the dark green.
And the light green is the current.
2017, much, much larger. And if you dig deep into this, there are some volcanoes going off in the areas where it's melting. So,
yeah, this article is written by Dr. Circus, who I've been following him for years, and he teaches more natural medicine. He's been living in Brazil for years and really writes rather prolifically. But he says as it gets colder, the elite-owned media and Al Gore are turning up the heat, trying to roast the world with their naked lies. Every prediction Gore has made has been wrong. The most recent attacks of the climate boogeyman, went on and on.
And I hear that the sales for that movie were tanked, pretty much.
Well,
so people are getting wise at least to the Al Gore propaganda and what they're doing. And, of course, what they're promoting is this tax, which is called a carbon tax, so that if you have enough money, you can pollute all you want. You just buy it from people who aren't polluting, which makes no sense if you want to reduce.
It's completely just an extraction of our wealth.
It's a game.
It's a tax.
Yeah.
It's an extraction of our wealth. It's to continue the slave mentality. You need to be punished for breathing. A federal climate report says the United States is already feeling the effects of climate change, right, Nico? With temperatures rising dramatically over the last 4 decades. That's according to the New York Times, which acquired a draft copy of the report by scientists from 13 federal agencies. The report says extreme heat waves have become more common and extreme cold waves less common since the 1980s. And this kind of proves that these 13 agencies and the entire federal government is proving to be unworthy of our trust.
Well, of course, we live near the shore. So if we go down at low tide, we can see the same mud flats that have been there since I've been here for 20 years. I know when I go to San Francisco, I usually stay one night right by the airport there, and they have the big mud flats. And I've been going to San Francisco ever since the 80s, and those mud flats look the same to me. They haven't changed. They haven't risen.
Right.
Places like Miami, where they say there's fish in the street at certain times when the high tide comes in, that's true, but they're on limestone, and limestone for years has been sinking.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different things going on. You can disguise it whichever way you want. And certainly we've had warm times, but all indications from the scientists that I investigate are saying that the peak was already passed.
That's right.
Around 1990.
The warming peak is past. Now we're entering this cooling, and this goes along with what you've said, Nico. Okay. Scientists in the U.S. Army were disagreeing with man-made global warming way back in 2008. All 13 of these governmental agencies seem to have forgotten all about the sun and how the sun impacts our weather, and that's what you and I are sharing with people here, because did you know that July was, in fact, the second hottest month in recorded history? Do you believe that?
I don't.
No. Do you trust your government organizations? It still is hearsay to stand up anywhere in the world and suggest it is climate change. It's not only man-made, but also cooling instead of warming, folks. We've been sharing this research. You got to start paying attention and understand the intention of this global warming story.
Well, one of the things I remember that they were saying is that the Arctic will be free of ice, and we're going to have that Northwest Passage open.
Looks to me like it's all
it's pretty
growing.
closed up, yeah. And this was 2017 sea ice in the summertime. Remember that? Okay.
You know, a lot of people have attacked President Trump for not going along with the Paris Accord, which is all a global warming UN organization. And Dr. Circus says Trump is just about the only politician in the world with the courage to stand up to all the lies about climate change. And, you know, so we have to give him credit there.
Yeah, that may be the one thing that he's right on.
Well, I think he's right on a couple other things.
Maybe
I just think his delivery is not always right.
Definitely not.
You know, we can all agree on that.
So they were calling the year of a Arctic-free ice, ice-free Arctic, I should say. So right now, the Greenland ice sheet is gaining near record amounts of ice this year. Very little melting has occurred during this summer, which is about to start coming on to an end. Europe has been unusually cold once again after last year ice wiped out crops all the way down into Spain, creating shortages of vegetables. I assume people are going to the grocery store and seeing that the $100 that you spent 3 years ago takes about twice as much now, about $200, especially if you're talking about vegetables and meats and things like that. If you're talking about cereal boxes, the prices may be the same, but you'll find that there's less quantity in these same boxes.
Right. And it says with the sun activity declining and the North Pole is reversing direction in 2000 and heading towards Europe, which we know the pole shift has been happening, where it's not so much at the North Pole, but angling more towards Europe.
They're actually going towards each other, which is
the
very
poles are
which the sun poles do, and they flip every 11 years. But we've never gone through a flip here, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen. So it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, so this really kind of indicates that things are not really supportive towards the global warming. Again, we're agreeing that there's climate change. I love when people try and argue and say, oh, they're a climate change denier. Yeah. Oh, no one's denying that the climate's changing.
We just don't know which way. Yeah. A rare early freeze in Russia. This was the third week of August. We're having snow, frost in those regions there. They had the first summerless July in Denmark in 38 years.
Yeah, summer is considered a temperature above 77 degrees. In Denmark, it never got above 77 degrees. Boy, that sounds really nice after we're in all this hot weather.
Yeah, for sure. There's a picture of some frost on the maple leaf here in Canada.
Yeah.
So
already
in the United States, summers are getting much colder. Every single metric shows the sun maximum temperatures are cooling in the U.S. and the heat waves are becoming shorter, less intense, and covering a smaller area. And they do have a chart here of some of the extreme weathers, and the tendency is going down right now at 2017, 16, 17. So it's interesting. I think people should do their own research to that. I think we're not really prepared as a civilization to go for extended periods without the electrical power that we're used to. And we know that certainly through grand solar minimums, we do have EMPs that naturally come from the sun or from outer space that can knock out our grids. We've had a lot of grids being down in certain areas of the country already with just mild things going on. So I encourage people, the reason I bring this whole thing up, do a little preparation of some kind. Have 3 months worth of food on hand in some form that you can go to, because if the grocery stores are not being stocked because they have no electricity anymore, we're going to be in dire straits.
And here's a conclusion. There's nothing funny about climate change, especially when the change is cooling. Civilization is not prepared to withstand increasing cold. With warmer weather, agricultural sectors increase, but in the cold, things get really hard, really hard. And these little ice ages that revolve around various natural cycles tend to kill off more humans than other natural disasters.
Yes, cultures around the world have failed as cold prevents farmers from harvesting enough grain to feed the cities.
So stock up and hold on to something for a rainy or a cold day.
We'll be right back.
See you later.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi folks, the 800th edition of the Gold Report will be published next Monday. To celebrate the last 15 and a half years of calling the gold market, I'm doing a special promotion. You can receive 60 weeks of the Gold Report for only $600. That is $10 a week, which is a savings of 50% off the regular price. If you want to understand the entire supply and demand equations that move the gold market, including where the XAU, HUI, and mining equities are looking to trade, if you want to understand the correlation between the dollar, the yen, the South African rand, bonds, and gold, the Gold Report is for you. I'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop for each equity, ETF, future, or option trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter with the focus on building real wealth to a successful portfolio of gold and silver equities. You can take advantage of this special promotion until August 27th. That's 60 weeks of the Gold Report for $600, which is a 50% savings. Go to the front page of TFNN.com or call 877-518-9190 and order now.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back to the show. I'd like to remind people to pick up the Health Signals newsletter. You know, you get that for $10 a month. You get 2 huge issues every single month. So that's on the first and third Tuesday of each month. So please pick that up. It has all this information that we talk about, and we kind of skim over when we're talking about it, but we really do dig deep to try to get the points of these things.
And the newsletters have the links to supporting documents, to the research. So we really, we want you to have these sources so you can stay up to date.
Yeah. So this one is called Is Seafood the Ultimate Brain Food? Is by Nora Gedgaudas, who we love, of course. And this is kind of interesting because I know there's a lot of confusion about seafood and a lot of confusion about what our ancestors actually ate and why they ate certain things. And we have been certainly told, and I know that you and I both go along with the idea that probably explorers were inland, but a lot of explorers were around the sea because it's easy to traverse lots of things when you follow the shoreline.
Right.
And it gets you to explore. I know if I had a little boat or built a little raft to myself, I'd be out there following that shoreline. I'm the adventurous type. When I was inland, I was always looking at the property that we were on and adjacent properties, looking for things and investigating. And certainly around the lake, I always did that too. So it seems a natural thing for us to have seafood as part of our diet.
Well, and also we know that other researchers have pointed to the fact that it was probably as tribes migrated towards the water, maybe for more comfortable weather, they started looking in the water. They found the little mussels and the oysters.
Right.
And it was these high DHA content foods that many researchers believe were responsible for the growth and expansion of our brain.
Yeah, and these are really cold water fish, have that great DHA that's preserved in a cold. So that's huge. Not the same thing in warm water fish. But certainly we also know that the bottom feeders are something that I know that the primitive man was always going after the oysters and the mussels.
Well, that's
and the
what I'm saying. He could wade and find these things.
Yeah, so it's easy to find those things, and all you have to do is watch it bear for a while.
But there's point and counterpoint.
Well,
people...
the reason I brought this article up because there's a point that I think Nora wanted to make. Why did our ancient ancestors hunt a certain way for land animals? And remember, if you look at animals searching out a herd like wolves and things like that, they're always going after the sick, the slow, the injured animals. But human beings never did that.
I know.
Human beings really went for the animals that had the most pristine fat. They went for these large animals. And during the time, the history of our, it goes back to like 2.6 million years to roughly about 10,000 years ago. We coexisted on this planet with at least 120 species of massive megafauna herbivores, like the woolly mammoths and like other species. So these things were the ones we hunted. Probably the most dangerous animals is a charging woolly mammoth or the big rhino or these big cats, although I don't think we really went after the cats that much unless they bothered us and we wanted them to go away.
Right. So she says, let's start this so we kind of go in order here. But, she says, but is fish or seafood really brain food, really and truly key? And is it somehow indispensable to our health? Is it really the ultimate brain food, as everyone seems to assume? And what role did fish and seafood actually play in our prehistoric ancestral diets?
Right.
And she mentions an article that was recently published in Science Daily that said on the early humans' menu was mammoth and plenty of raw vegetables. And they said early humans consumed more plants than Neanderthals, but ate very little fish. So there's a little point and counterpoint.
Yeah.
So maybe it just depends on where these people were.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But I think the point of the article was that, during these times, we were avidly hunting these large animals. And by the way, it is estimated that the body fat of a woolly mammoth is no less than 50%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
so
kind of her
they
point.
Weren't hunting just the meat, we were hunting the fat.
And that's what she
point.
says. Yep,
yes.
It wasn't just the fish that built our brains. It was the dietary animal fat. So that would be animal fat in fish, animal fat in land-based animals.
So here's an illustration from the actual study, which was published in the journal Scientific Reports just this month. You can see how woolly mammoth meat, and I should go scroll down. Why don't you read the rest of that when I'm scrolling down here. Here's that one here.
This is the illustration from the actual study, which was published in the journal Scientific Reports. And you can see how mammoth meat actually dominated the diets of our oldest anatomically modern ancestors, while the second most popular item on the menu in this study was also the second fattiest type of animal that they had available, namely the red deer and horses.
Yeah. After all, they probably ate more hare than antelope.
Well, they meant rabbits, right?
Yeah, rabbits or hares, probably. The hares are a little fat.
Yeah, because the rabbits were probably more
small.
Plentiful and a little easier to trap or snare.
Yeah.
So rabbits and antelope are both, of course, inherently much leaner than the woolly mammoth. But it's very interesting, as she says, as many readers of hers know, she spent a lot of time, Nora did, among the wolves in the high Arctic and was able to spend time over the course of an entire high Arctic summer closely observing how these wolves hunted. And as she said, that's where she brought in that idea that most of the time these animals are looking for the more vulnerable or weak. And that might be nature's way of keeping the herd of reproduction good, survival of the fittest, right?
Yeah. In fact, remember we had many theories in the past saying that we hunted these things to extinction. We now know that during the younger dryas, about 10,000 years ago, there was probably a big calamity of some kind that probably wiped out all the large fauna in not only North America, but also Europe. And the only place that we really saw the existence of that was probably Africa. Mm-hmm. And it's still there. Well, not as much as it used to be, but we are now killing them to death. But remember, we're not hunting them for food to death. We're hunting them for the horns and for the tusks and things like that. We're not really
that's
using...
awful. For sport. I mean,
and that's
sport
where we
hunting...
get to the buffalo here, too. So sport hunting is not something that we advocate. We are more of the fishing type where we go out and fish and release, unless we're going to eat the
Catch and release.
Catch and release, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that the whole idea that we were interested in the fat. Obviously, from the very earliest time, we knew that there was nutrition in the fat of the animals that our ancestors were eating. And they were eating vegetables, folks, but they were also, like you said, hunting fat. Yeah. And
in the beginning, of course, all the vegetables and the meat was probably not cooked until a certain time, maybe 35 to 50,000 years ago, we started using fire. And during that time is when the real expansion of our brain came in, because now we're not using so much energy for digestion. We can use it to rebuild and build up our brain and become a much wiser predator out there. And predators,
even in the more recent prehistoric Mediterranean regions where one might imagine that easily gotten seafood would have absolutely dominated the human diet. According to Dr. Marcello Menino, research scientist and archaeologist at the Department of Human Evolution at the Max Planck Institute, the source of the dietary protein consumed in the late prehistoric Mediterranean region mainly originated from the meat of the medium to large terrestrial herbivores. So when we talk about the Mediterranean diet of fish and vegetables, that was kind of a little later on, guys. The true ancestral diet was still these larger herbivores.
And we had the larger herbivores today. I have a suspect that we'd probably be after them today.
I say they're both probably were part of the diet.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. Yep.
And
stick around, folks. We got plenty left, so we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
I do. So we just were discussing Nora Gedgaudas. This article, Is Seafood the Ultimate Brain Food? And we talked about the fact that probably our primal ancestors enjoyed some of both, you know, high-fat terrestrial animals that were herbivores and also the varying seafoods that were available. But what's really important is, what does red meat uniquely have for your brain that fish doesn't? Because I have a lot of people that say, oh, I don't eat red meat. Right. And I want to say, why? Mm-hmm. You know, if you are going to, you know, why would you, you know, funnel that out when the evidence clearly indicates that the majority of our...
You know, a lot of people ignore this evidence or say the evidence isn't that
well, I think
thrilling to them.
Well, it's also a lot of religious reasons they don't, because of them being large animals that they feel uncomfortable with. But let's go over some of the things, the reasons why you might want to include it as part of your diet, because in addition to EPA and DHA, that most people think are only found in fish oils,
they're found in both, naturally.
They're presented in both red meat and fish, naturally, correct?
Yeah, and we're talking about the meat that is highly sustainable. It's an animal eating the natural diet, so that's either a wild animal or a pastured, finished animal. So they were actually out there all the time eating nothing but what they wanted to eat.
They're completely green-fed, so to speak. Okay. And these are very important and highly beneficial to the brain. So whether you're getting these from your, you probably need to get them from both your meat and your fish source, but these are some of the things that are unique to your meat sources. Hemi-iron, needed for healthy cognitive function and brain oxygenation, learning, and memory. I'm seeing a really an increase in iron deficiency with some of the people I'm talking to.
Right.
And then I have to say, well, let's look at your diet.
So another one is creatine. Creatine plays a pivotal role in brain energy homeostasis, being a temporal and spatial buffer for the cytolysis.
Cytosolic and mitochondrial pools of the cellular energy currency. So in other words, they're important for energy. And then there's L-carnosine, and L-carnosine enhances and even restores our mitochondrial function. Your brain has a lot of mitochondria, folks. In fact, the majority of our mitochondria hang out in our hearts and in our brains. And it can also help prevent the creation and accumulation of beta-amyloid plaques. So again, maybe we might see that people that are experiencing some of these brain or neurological dysfunction and degradation, it may be that they're not getting the proper amount of L-carnosine, not to be confused with L-carnitine.
Right.
So
next is the
arachidonic acid.
Yes, and this is typically denounced as an inflammatory animal source of omega-6 fatty acid. Only what they didn't tell you is that 11% of fatty acids in the brain, in your brain are supposed to be this type of acid. And together with DHA, there are 20 and 22 carbon fatty acids uniquely characterize the human cognition.
Right, so not all omega-6s are bad, folks. We have to have a few. They play important roles.
Well, in fact, it's the larger amount. When we're talking about a 3-to-1 ratio, we're talking about more of the 6 than we are of the 3, because 3 is very powerful. We don't need as much of it. So perhaps our primitive ancestors had a 1-to-1 ratio, but maybe a cow that's eating grass is a 3-to-1 ratio.
We need to go over Dr. Brian Peskin's work. He's the one that's the PhD researcher who's proven, his research is talking about the fact that we've got it all wrong. We're overdosing on omega-3s, because we're taking, a lot of people are avoiding these things, and then they're taking, overdosing on fish oils. And so let's bring that up one day, because it's it makes
another
it hard
one is
to decide what to
CoQ10,
do.
found readily in the heart, the liver, and the brain tissue of animal source foods, is also pretty high in red meat in general. CoQ10 enzymes
They energize the mitochondria.
Yeah, and exerts different types of different effects on the brain.
Yeah, on the neurology of our brain. So the thing about it is CoQ10 is found in these meats and organ meats. See, the reason we don't get those same benefits is how many people are eating organ meats, not like we were.
Boy, we're at the end of the show.
And
the
then
last thing is
CLA.
Yep.
One of the most powerful attributes of conjugate linoleic acid is you get it from grass-fed meat.
Yeah, and then of course we can talk about K2 and the other things too. But at the end of the show, so do your own research, folks, and we'll see you at the next show. Thanks a lot.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.